Let's set a scene. It's August 25th, 2025. A yacht is found just drifting, aimlessly, out in the Atlantic Ocean. On board, a man's loyal dog is there, waiting. But the man himself? He's vanished. Today, we're diving into the baffling disappearance of James Nunan.
So it all starts right here, off the coast of Gran Canaria. A maritime surveillance plane spots this sailboat, the Kehaar, and it's obvious it's not under control. So the Spanish rescue service, Salvamento Marítimo, they send a boat out to check on it, probably thinking it's just a routine call for help. But what they were about to find was anything but routine.
When the rescue team gets on board, there's nobody at the helm. There are no signs of a fight, no chaos, just this eerie quiet. And that silence left them with one massive looming question. And get this, think about the location for a second. The yacht wasn't just floating outside the harbor. No, it was found 94 kilometers. That's about 50 miles south of Gran Canaria. That one detail alone was a huge puzzle for investigators right from the start. And here's the part of the story that just really gets you. The only other living thing on that boat was the sailor's companion, an 18-month-old Jack Russell named Thumbelina. She was alive, she was okay. She'd somehow survived all alone out at sea for who knows how long. It's this little miracle right in the middle of a growing mystery. So who was the man at the heart of all this? I mean, to even begin to understand what might have happened out there, we first need to know who James Nunan was and what he was even doing in the Canary Islands. See, James Nunan wasn't some billionaire on a super yacht. He was a 34-year-old bricklayer, a regular guy with a massive dream. He wanted to sail solo all the way around the world. He'd worked his tail off, saved every penny he could, bought a boat, and just went for it, chasing the kind of adventure most of us only ever dream about. His trip had kicked off months before, back in March 2025. He'd sailed all the way from the UK, and by August, he'd successfully made it to Las Palmas in Gran Canaria. He was gearing up for the next leg of the journey, just a short hop over to Lanzarote, before taking on the big one, the Atlantic crossing. And this is absolutely crucial. Coming straight from his family, his sister, Nikita, made it really clear that James was great at staying in touch. He was constantly checking in. So when those calls just stopped in late August, his family knew, almost instantly, that something was very, very wrong. For him to go silent, that was completely out of character. The investigation, of course, immediately zeroed in on his last known movements. And this is exactly where the official timeline starts to get really confusing, a mix of solid facts and some pretty hazy reports. Okay, so let's walk through this. On August 18th, he's seen around town in Las Palmas. His bank card gets used one last time that night at a kebab shop. Then, super early the next morning, August 19th, he shows up at a police station to file a report. And after that, nothing. 6 full days of absolute silence until his boat is found drifting. Now, this is where it gets really murky. You had the press running with these stories from witnesses at the kebab shop, saying his backpack was stolen, that he was incredibly drunk. But the only piece of hard evidence police had was a document they found on his boat, and it confirmed that 6:15 a.m. visit to the police station. The gap between rumor and fact here is pretty huge. So with the timeline on land getting confusing and the trail going cold, investigators had to turn to the only other witness they had, the yacht itself. The Kehaar was holding all the most important clues. So what did they find? Well, first, the one piece of good news, Thumbelina was okay. But from there, the clues got pretty ominous. The jib, which is a big sail at the front of the boat, was torn up pretty badly. A life jacket was gone. And maybe the most significant clue of all, a special harness used to climb the mast was also missing. And this brings us right back to that huge geographical puzzle. Remember, his plan was to sail north to Lanzarote. So why on earth was his boat found 94 kilometers to the south, heading out into the open ocean? It just didn't line up with anything he was planning to do. Well, the answer, it turns out, is in the water, in the wind. The east coast of Gran Canaria is actually famous for something called a wind acceleration zone, and it has these really powerful currents that flow south. So if the Kehaar was unmanned and just left to the elements, these natural forces would have pushed it exactly where it ended up. Okay, so when you put all of this evidence together, the missing harness, the damaged sail, the boat's drift pattern, Spain's Guardia Civil started to form a main theory, a theory about a tragic accident. So here's what the police believe most likely happened. James set sail from Las Palmas, but he ran into some rough weather that damaged that front sail. He probably put on his climbing harness to go up the mast and try to fix it. And it's at that moment, high above the deck, that they think he fell into the sea. And I mean, you can just imagine how incredibly dangerous a repair like that is at sea. You're way up high, on a moving boat, completely exposed. The boom can swing around with crazy force, one slip, one unexpected wave, and it can be catastrophic. It's a really vulnerable position to be in. And sadly, the statistics really back this theory up. If you look at what causes sailing fatalities, falling overboard is the #1 cause. It accounts for 41% of all deaths. It's a far more common danger than most people think, and it can happen to even the most seasoned sailors. And this number, this one is just staggering. In a major study of sailors who drowned, a whopping 82% of them were not wearing a life jacket. We know a life jacket was missing from James's boat, and the agonizing question that remains is, was he wearing it when he went into the water? So the accident theory gives us a plausible story. It fits the evidence, but it doesn't really close the case, does it? For James's family and for everyone who has followed this story, some really big questions are still just hanging out there. So this is where things stand today. We've got a list of things we know for sure: that last sighting, where the boat was found, the fact his dog survived. But then you have this whole other column of profound unknowns. What did he do after he left that police station? Why did he even set sail? And of course, the biggest question of all, will we ever know what truly happened? Because at the end of the day, when you strip away all the theories and the timelines, you're left with the human story. A 34-year-old man who is chasing the adventure of a lifetime. His family is still searching, still hoping for answers, whatever those answers may be. Which leaves us right here. Is the disappearance of James Nunan a heartbreaking but ultimately explainable story of a solo sailor's tragic accident? Or are there still pieces of this puzzle missing? A deeper mystery that's still hidden somewhere out there in the waves of the Atlantic. For now, the search goes on.